Hello, everybody, and welcome to what is it? Is it the 20th?
20,
20th
20th.
episode of the ArtaCast to this anniversary. And sorry, we are delayed this week, and maybe you hear it still. I'm still a bit sick, and I hope you appreciate it very, very much that I come out of my bed just for you and risk my life to to give you the best content that you can achieve. Yeah, there's a lot. I don't know where to start. There's not much going on in the Lorcana world. I was on Axion at the weekend, which was a big tournament, and yeah, went okay, but not too good. Also, we are all playtesting a lot. LD and me both won our first round in the LCCC and dodged us, fortunately. And playing now in round two against some, I think we are both some pretty even matchups. I think, and
Yeah.
very could be very interesting and close games. And yeah, also the meta adapts further and further, and there are a lot of insights I have to share, and probably you have also to share.
Mm.
Yeah, how do you feel? How was your weekend? Did you also test or play, or what was your Locana week?
Yeah, so I couldn't attend Action, unfortunately, because it was my partner's birthday party. We had fun, but it wasn't as fun as Action, I can say, because she doesn't listen. So yeah, I would have preferred to go to Action, but I didn't. Um, um, no, I've done lots and lots of playtesting and got a new green purple deck that I'm super excited about and having a lot of fun with that we'll run through later on. I'll talk about a little bit because I've been having a ton of fun with that. And outside of that, just trying to keep up the blue steel testing for the LCCC. I've got a blue steel mirror against Moyen, which probably by the time this goes out will have already been played, so people will already know if I won or lost if they watched. But yeah, just at the moment trying to get ready for that and feeling okay into the matchup. I think it's the build I put together is a little bit wonky, but it has some ideas and took some bets that I think kind of pay off into Moyen's build. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. It should be a really fun game, but certainly got a lot to say about the metagame at the moment. So if you feel your throat going, you feel too ill, and you want to tap out, just let me go because there's a lot I can say about the game right now. And actually, like people will probably be surprised. Like a lot of it is positive. I actually have a lot of positive stuff to say about how I'm feeling about the metagame at the moment. Yeah, it's kind of turning a corner from the start of the set. You get a bit blinded by the raw power of the best new stuff, and now you have a bit of time and you get to see like what some of the knock-on effects of those cards might be. So yeah, it feels like it's still totally right that blue steel is the most powerful deck, and it is. It's on top by a decent margin. But there are some other things that you can play because other decks are falling off. So yeah, keen to get into that a little bit because I have some interesting thoughts, I think.
Yeah, if you want to start, you guys. I mean, I want to talk a lot about my Axion experience because
Yeah, cool.
there's a lot. Yeah, I think a lot of insights, and at least for the set seven. I mean, the set six. Yeah, I played the red purple list a Haufen, and I was not very. So I was nearly every game on a draw. Was best of three. Lost nearly all my games on a no, I lost not nearly all my games on a draw. I think I was only one game on the play, and then yeah, some I was able to win on the draw, but then I went 3-3 and then I dropped. It was very very
Mm,
not very was very disappointing. But on the um Sunday event there was a set 7 tournament, and I don't know where to I don't know where to
where did
start.
you start?
It was crazy. I think it was for me. It was very crazy. I think I never saw such a meta game where nearly only one deck existed, and I
Mm,
nearly I saw so many Oswalds. It was absolutely crazy.
Mm.
The interesting thing though was that they got all farmed by
Yep.
aggressive decks. They
Mm.
really got farmed, and everybody was complaining about the deck. I don't wanna blame the deck too much, but I think it's very vulnerable to aggressive strategies, and is really only good into red decks. That's at least
Mm.
my experience. I have very much respect for Zan and his deck building abilities. That's no doubt. But I think the meta game, as it evolves, will not allow Oswald to exist in the meta game. Because
No.
it's just too coasty, or how do you say that, to play that card in a meta game that's doesn't allow you to take time. What I mean is, there will be a lot of decks that just win on the spot when you play Oswald in turn 2 and don't either play a good character like Smee or don't ramp or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I played 5 rounds, and 4 of them were mirror matches, and 3 were Oswald lists, and 1 was a Moyen list.
Mm-hmm.
And I beat all the Oswalds and lost against the Moyen list, and then I won against Purple Steel too. So I went for 1, was top 8. So that was um was very cool. The thing what I really don't like is about the mirror match is that the player that has the bell and the player that who doesn't have the bell feels
Yep.
really bad. And I counted my I was really how can I say glad, proud of myself, because I had 13 games on that day, and I had hit Bell 2 times. I counted it. I hit Bell 2 times of that 30 games, although I mulliganed really aggressively for him. But yeah, even then I won, so I was very proud of that. Although I won most of the games. Yeah. Long story short answer. I think Amber Steel is very strong. That felt
Mm-hmm.
like that. I mean, like in the top 8, the top 8 were 4. I think 4 of my list like me, like mine list. Uh, 2 or 3 green yellow aggro, and 2 Amber
Mm-hmm.
Steels. I think that was the top 8 in the end. And that's crazy when you see how many Oswalds were there. They got really farmed. I can't say anything else than they got farmed. If you don't want to see a Daisy and then play an Oswald or something, it's just
You do not.
um, yeah, and I think that's reasonable. I mean, it was the day one hype deck, and
Mm-hmm.
many people went there to just counter it, and that's reasonable. And so it's will flatten out a bit. And the Oswald deck is just very polarizing in its matchups. I think it absolutely farms red purple, but that doesn't mean anything. That's the problem.
No.
So it farms really deck that needs high cost to remove the Oswald, like need to really brawl it or something, or like to have to do something to remove it. And
Yeah.
that's not the case for steel decks, where steel decks seem to be like 80% of the meta game. Yeah,
Yeah.
so long story. But green yellow seems very strong. Amber steel seems very strong. Blue steel still seems very strong. Red blue still. There wasn't many, but I think red blue still a very strong deck. Yeah, that's the first impression from me, and for you.
Yeah. I mean, my takeaways are mostly the same. On the Oswald deck, I think to me it's like a classic, incredible week 0 deck in that it uses tools from the new set to completely crush decks that were like previously dominant, but now you get a couple of weeks on, and actually like you can't rely on farming red, purple, and blue red because those decks are way down in representation, right? And you're now faced with a different metagame, which it doesn't look anywhere near as good into. I'm sure the deck will adapt and everything like that. But yeah, my takeaways on it are mostly that like obviously blue steel is really really good. A load of those builds are fantastic. But actually you've got a lot more freedom in this metagame than it sort of, even though blue steel is dominant, it doesn't feel as restrictive as decks like blue red did in the past, because you you have sort, you know, the checks and balances on the format made by blue steel are basically like you can't play too many things that just get like stormed by Bell or get checked by Bell. So there's a lot of pressure on your one drops in early plays. Like you have to be thinking about not just completely feeding into those board states. But that is way less oppressive on the whole than, say, an effect like Sisu, which does have a real. If red blue is 30+% of the metagame, or 25% plus of the metagame, and you're going to reliably hit loads of Sisu decks throughout the day, that puts massive pressure on your deck building and does actually have like a regulating effect on what you can and can't put in your deck if you want to have a fair shot at winning a tournament. So the restrictions on your deck building feel like a little tighter. And one of the reasons why I started playing this green purple deck that I'll talk about later is that I noticed in response to blue steel, the prevalence of these blue steel decks going up, the representation for red purple and blue red was going way down. And suddenly you were in a metagame which for the first time ever probably wasn't 30% plus brawl decks and 30% plus
Mm.
Sisu-esque effects.
Mm.
We've not really, outside of the Bucky metagame, seen a meta where a Ruby deck wasn't, like, to some extent on top.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think most people have never really considered what they might be able to get away with if, like, basic Ruby cards aren't everywhere. They've ticked way down, and I think they're set to come back up a little bit. But in this kind of first few week lull, we've seen a bit of a downtick in those decks, and it does enable lots of other things to exist alongside those things. So, like, take a deck like Amber Steel, for example, that historically, like, at least some builds of it was said to have a terrible red blue matchup, and that kind of suppressed it when red blue was dominant. A deck like Amber Steel now looks a bit stronger because there is less red blue to fight it, and then also gains from the fact that blue steel really struggles to deal with just tons of X4s. Anything anything with 4 willpower just looks real good into them because it doesn't get splatted by Bell. Yet Scrooge is a problem, yet Scrooge is going to be a problem. But these aggressive decks, these aggressive high willpower decks, something like Diggy Diggy Hole or even just traditional Steel Song, really lines up pretty well into them. And a deck like that is way better than people are giving it credit for at the moment. I suspect, like, to some extent, some of those shifts are why we had tournaments in America this weekend as well, big tournaments, and Green Steel did fantastically well. Great representation across the top 8. People are just getting away with Diablo's living like they
Yeah.
didn't before because, like I say, the primary removal cards in the format is not currently Brawl. It's all song-based stuff that Ursula could take away, and it's way easier to protect your Diablo currently than it was in the past. So that's kind of like my overall takeaway is that while the blue steel deck is decks, I should say, there are a few of them. While they are dominant, um, there are new there are things you can get away with playing now that you couldn't before. How long that will continue for remains to be seen because all it takes is another uptick in red purple or blue red a bit to throw this out. But if you were in a format that was completely dominated by blue steel, there are things you can play that look really, really good. And I think people's reaction when they see a deck like blue steel, their natural reaction to a deck like that being really good is you start thinking in terms of how can I like limit its strength. So people look to things like item destruction, and they start looking at cards like I find in my Platinum, thinking, right, if they play loads of items and then I get Tamatoed for 10, surely I just play this song that destroys all items. When really, like, you're better off thinking, not how do I minimize this deck's strengths, but how do I maximize on its weaknesses? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are the things it can't deal with? How do you have a proactive game plan that it struggles with? And then the second level of thinking of that is within that, if this new deck is big, what can I do? What can I now get away with that I couldn't get away with in the past because of the previous best deck? So it's like, what was red blue suppressing? Whatever it was suppressing is probably more playable now. And yeah, just stuff that maximizes on the weakness of blue steel, which, as I say, is stuff like pretty much anything with 4 willpower. You can, and even better if it's more than 4. If it's 5, fantastic. But yeah, it's those high willpower aggressive steel decks like Diggy Diggy and Amber Steel that to me start looking like real contenders in the format moving forward. Don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I just want to shortly say about some. Yeah, I think I agree with with everything you said. I just want to because we got 2 or 3 comments last week about we are always complaining about and we needed a ban or something, but we really try to I think we try to be objective and not cry too much. I think that's not what we want to do. It's not our purpose in this podcast to cry, but if we think something could help the meta game to improve, then it's just our opinion. But the thing what I still see a bit problematic, but I don't want to say ban it now and is that the ways to attack blue steel are so niche linear. I think it's not a healthy metagame probably because it's so weird. It's like red purple in set 2. You have to play hyper aggro or something to beat it. And it's a bit weird, and that's the same. Just land your deck full with X-Force and you win, and that's a bit weird because you lose against. Yeah, I don't want to say against everything else, but it's red blue doesn't care at all about X-Force or something, and that's a bit a weird situation still for the meta game, and I think in comparison or in some when we sum it up, it's still a bit problematic. I think there could be ways to deal with it a bit with nerfs or bends or something, but I don't want to say it's must be done. There are always ways, and that's the good thing because the people are not sleeping and try to find ways to beat it, and then even in a bad meta game, if we say that, there are adaptations and things to attack very strong strategies still, even if they are very niche, but they are not that niche. I mean, green steel is a very good deck and it's very good against blue steel, for example. Amber Steel was always a good deck, and it's very good against Amber Steel, against Blue Steel. So yeah, I think there are some options, and that's just it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Yeah.
No, I completely agree, and it's like it's really hard to. When you see a problem with a format, it's really hard to like look away from that because it kind of feels like I've identified the issue and my thinking has reached a dead end in the sense of this is better than other things. There is there's no answer to this that is also really good into the rest of the field. So like you say, it leads you to play these decks which are playable, but if like I was saying, the representation of red blue is halved, and so you play something which like previously you couldn't play into tons of red blue, well, you still might play it if you were playing it in 4 rounds of a tournament before. You're still probably playing it in 2, and if you lose those 2, guess what? You're still out of the tournament. So it gets tricky, and you start having to make a few bets on playing these things that are specifically good into the best deck versus just having an actual good matchup spread. So I do think there's still a few issues, but for me, like, it's honestly just refreshing to feel like blue red isn't the big problem right now. Like it even though I see a major challenge in the format, it's refreshing for it to be slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if somebody was kicking you in the head every day, and then one day they came along and punched you in the stomach instead, you're still
It's
you're
a bit
still pretty
better.
sad. Yeah, you're still pretty sad, but you're like, whoa, that's nice that you're no longer working the skull every day, and now I can just take a few gut punches for a while, let my head recover. It's kind of like that, right? So the new overlord. So it at least feels fresh, and you, it's nice to think about a new challenge. It's really nice to not have Sisu living so rent free in my head and regulating every decision I make on deck building, that sort of thing. For now, it's like it's refreshing and it's nice to try and find creative solutions to a new problem. Like I say, I'm not sure that like objectively amazing solutions are out there, but certainly playable ones are. And for now, the format is at least fun for me, like to be
Yeah,
exploring.
it's fun, and it feels like you need to be brave to play something else in a big
Yes.
tournament, but that's okay. I mean, that's okay. It's like Red Purple. If you played set two in a major tournament, there were no DLCs or something, but if you would ask anyone, probably everyone would have said, "Ah, play Red Purple. It's a safe choice," and
Yep.
nobody would suggest you to play Hyper Aggro or something. And but it's not that bad, to be honest. I think Ember Steel and Green Steel are perfectly. For me, for me, it's still blue red, blue steel. Are
Yep.
both on an own level for me still. I think
Hmm.
also the coil Sisu stuff is still very very broken,
Yep.
and also toxic to play against. And blue steel, and then because they have the very good package of everything, and
Yep.
then I think, but Amber Steel, Green Steel, Amber Steel, Green Steel are very, very, very close for me for being very good. Purple Steel, I am lower on Purple Steel than last week. Um,
Yeah. Same.
I don't I don't know. It's very. It's not that you crush Red Blue. Um, that's a problem. It's not that you crush Red Blue, and to beat Blue Steel is very very hard, and that's a problem. You don't crush Red Blue, and uh, Blue Steel is very hard, and Green Steel, Amber Steel also very very hard for Purple Steel. So yeah, I'm lower on this. You can get away with it still if you play it on a tournament or something. I don't say you can't reach top cut or something, but yeah, there must be some pieces to work together. Then I think yeah, it's rough for me. So Amber Steel is a big winner for the from the week for me because
Yeah. Same.
it's a very strong deck. Also, Chuck and Zach Bivens proved that it's you can get the matchup very close against Red Blue with his location stuff and for me just the only thing is if I start now playing Amber Steel, I'm 1 year behind every
Right. That
every
is.
every good player. If I mulligan, I mean to be honest, if I really want to, it's not my. It was never my kind of playstyle. But if I really want to go deep dive, it won't get me too long to mulligan correctly. But mulligan, for example, is a very different thing in the stack for me.
Hmm.
I'm always unsure how I mulligan. I mean, probably sometimes you keep even the wheel or something if you have the shift line or something. Um, well, maybe some players will now think, oh god, what is Artabax saying there? But yeah, I'm very unsure how I mulligan with the deck, and
Yeah. It's
you need a lot of
it's a deck
practice.
that it constantly makes me feel like an idiot. Amber Steel.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
ever want to, if you've never played Amber Steel before and
yeah.
you've played tons of Lorcana and you want to feel like a complete newcomer,
Hmm.
just start playing Amber Steel because like you've watched its lines play out so many times that you assume you know it, but yet somehow I navigate it right into a corner and just manage to brick every time. And it's so frustrating as well because I for such a long time I played decks that just got so crushed by Amber Steel. And I was so free and easy with insulting the deck and insulting the players. And I'm like, oh yeah, you Cindy stole my character. God, it must take so much brain power. And then I pick it up, and it's like the cards are falling through my fingers. I think this is like the easiest deck ever, and I just can't like achieve anything with it at all. So it's like it pains me to say, but it's really decision intensive deck, and like it's probably got one of the highest skill ceilings for
Yeah,
sure, and it probably has like the biggest rift between average and
yeah,
like amazing player, right? Like the Zach Bivens and sort of Frank Carstens of the world can make Amber Steel look like a radically different deck to like I don't know your set champ winner, local set champ winner sort of level. And when I play it, it's very humbling. It reminds me what level I'm actually at. So we kind of I try to not dabble in it too much. It's bad for my confidence.
yeah. I think, but it's just to say it, it's just a very very good deck. I think,
Yep.
and yeah, has a very good spot in the meta game right now. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to talk with you about one deck of a friend of mine, just to show the people that we are still able to have new ideas in the meta game and to have new decks. And it's my friend Makoya, who's also a very very good player, plays Red Purple since forever, and he was very very sad about the meta game evolves, and because Red Purple seems to be very very bad. And then he topped a big tournament last weekend in online, a German tournament online with a Red Purple list, and I think he beat like 3 or 4 blue steals in the Swiss. And I told him I was a very bad friend because I told him that I still doubt that it does good against blue steel, and probably or maybe the players were not the best he played against in Swiss. And then we played against yesterday, and I mean we played only 4 games, but we went 2-2, and it felt like kind of close. What he did is, you see the list here. It's very very clever. He plays. I mean, that's the thing that I wanted to say, that I mentioned earlier. The meta game seems a bit weird, just that everyone just plays X-Force to beat Blue Steel. That's still a bit weird situation for the meta game in itself, but it's nothing to complain now about. He plays just very high willpower characters, and or characters that don't care about dying, like Cusco or Diablo or something, and attacks the blue steel player then with a lot of board pressure that is not that easy to keep up, and you have hard time to kill everything with your strength. Especially the Queen of Hearts was surprising me very much. I thought this is a meme, but it's not. It's an X4, a 1/4 2-cost character, what in general is a good vanilla stat line, I think. And when she has damage, she gets +3 strength. So it's an annoying card because she can run into something, maybe deal the last damage, and then after that, it's not only on your turn she has +3 strength, so even if the opponent has to run into her, then she still has the +3 strength, so she has a 4 strength then. And it's really, really annoying. And obviously, like we said, against Red Blue, she's really bad. But if the meta is that steel heavy, she's also. I mean, Red Purple was a bit complaining about what do we do against Amber Steel in the early game. It's the best 2-drop you can play into Amber Steel. I mean, it's not crazy good, but it's the best turn 2 play you can ever play against Amber Steel. Nothing comes close. And then genies are annoying. There's still a lot of card draw like Red Purple always had. But with these a lot of health characters, it's not sacrificing boards too much. And that's what I really liked. And yeah, he proved it. He came top 8 and lost then against green yellow. No. He lost only because he got a disconnect. It was very tragic. He got a disconnect, and after 2 minutes, he couldn't return, and then he got disqualified for that. That was very, very sad.
Sucks.
So even then, so you could say he didn't even lose top 8. Yeah, I like the list. It's a bit of a Haufen. Because you have only 2 brawls and stuff, and you could play around with some numbers, and probably he doesn't say it's the perfect numbers, everything. But yeah, I don't know, what do you say about this list. I think you are not the best. You're not the person that speaks the highest about Red Purple in the past, but I like that he tries to adapt his list to the new metagame.
Like this to me is like the best of Red Purple. It's like the deck used to be so adaptable, and which is one of the reasons why it felt like it could never be pushed, it could never be truly pushed out of a metagame. The sort of meme at the start of every set is Red Purple's dead. It's always dead for 1 week, and then it just comes back in force. This time around, I will say that, well, actually, as time goes on, each set, the threat of it being dead actually gets more real and feels like, whoa, like it actually might not be as good anymore. And this time around, like really, really, people have been scared, more so than ever before. So to me, it's just like it's so cool to see actual creativity. Again, within Red Purple Shell, you'll never ever kill it forever. It's just always going to be like on some level viable. But sometimes it's harder. It gets harder to find a creative build like this that takes an interesting swipe at the metagame. Makes total sense to me. Really cool, and yeah, super happy for him to make a deep run. It sucks about the top 8, but I think
he proved.
Yeah, this is just like it's this is just like another good data point for I guess it's the cards he's chosen here aren't they're not picked specifically to try and like weaken blue steel. It's not it's not like putting 4 Benjers in your deck or something. You're not doing this. It's specifically trying to exploit its weaknesses and the things that it struggles to clean up. So for me, it's like the right kind of thinking. It's exactly what you should be trying to do in a metagame that feels like it's oversaturated on one deck. And yeah, it seems to pay dividends, which is great. Congrats to Makoya. It's really cool.
And I wanted to. That's something I'm interested in. I want to maybe work on it also a bit because I was really surprised a bit. I think I really want 4 genies right now because they are so powerful. But on the other hand, he said against Red Blue he really struggles with this list, and that I can see because if you compare Queen of Hearts with Flynn, for example, that's a complete difference. It is nothing comparable against Red Blue, at least. I mean, Flynn was the card that they are mostly afraid of, the most frightening card for them. And Queen of Hearts is just doing nothing. So I still think it's maybe overtagged a bit. But it really works out, and it's probably more worth exploring than we initially thought it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Nice.
So we want to talk about LCC, but first I want that you show us your new creation, your new composition, your new masterpiece. And
I would be very glad to.
Yes.
Right. I will say this: masterpiece is the right word. This is perfect in every way.
Yeah, of course. Never doubt that.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the thinking a little bit first before we even get into like the philosophy of the deck. Green purple, this set has felt super bad. It's felt like barely even worth exploring because it got so little in the way of new cards, and also so specifically struggled to deal with Bell. An early Bell basically wins the board beyond contention in the early game, and you relied on having early game board control. That is the nature of tempo. You're trying to take early control, outnumber your opponent on board, and then try to gain some card advantage later on to keep you in the game and just constantly stay slightly ahead on board. Almost impossible to do into a Bell. So the thinking was it just needs a different approach. And actually, this was heavily inspired by a deck that came out of, I want to say, Belgium. The green purple discard set 6 deck, which really started to take off.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like credited to Waru. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his name, but I want to say Jerome Bastogne or something of that. Sorry if I've butchered your name. But it's a it's a deck that really picked up steam towards the end of set 6, this green purple discard version, and sort of played a full suite of discard stuff, discard actions. So it was a green purple Diablo deck. With the addition of This Is My Family, I kind of thought, well, what if we take that principle and rather than being a discard deck, which I'm kind of scared of playing a little bit right now because the blue steel decks have so much absurd draw power where they're just like you could control the game through discard and then they just like draw a Tamatoa and they're back in the game in a way that you would really struggle to deal with sometimes. What if we took this really aggressive, like burn you out package where you have tons of instant lore gain, and have 16 actions for Diablo because you added all the burn stuff to it. In a nutshell, it was also created in response to the fact that there was a massive drop in brawls being played because less red blue, less red purple, and the thing I kept saying, and if people have sort of followed me on Twitter or even last week, you'd be very bored of me saying that this felt like a format that was so soft to Diablo plus 2-drop Ursula, because all of the blue steel decks were pretty much like keep one removal song in their hand, and they're really dependent on that that's their interaction. If you were able to take that away, you basically remove their ability to interact early, and as such, they really struggle to deal with a Diablo. So, yeah, that's the basic principle: is that you could stick a shift Diablo, really easy because you have 8 1-drop Diablos. You get to draw tons of cards as they frantically kind of Porpsicle and Hiram looking for more removal. And then once they do if they do have the second removal thing, you force them to make difficult choices between, well, do I get rid of this Diablo or do I get rid of Ursula to see Revolt? Because that is also now, as a turn 3 play, like threatening to draw 4 off of friends. So it's a deck with tons of reach and tons of card draw that just I found like a lot of success with it. Just curve out, shift your Diablos early and often because it's really consistent to do it with so many 1-drop Diablos. And then the really, really cool thing, the really fun thing to do with this deck is like setting up the win on top of your deck with bosses on a roll. If you swing it with Ursula, that's great because you get to do it twice. But you're able with This Is My Family, which is kind of like the big new addition to the deck. With that, you're able to set up these really cool chains where you sort of look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then you can make it so your draw for the next turn is This Is My Family, which gains a lore and redraws you into a gathering or a friends to get you going again. And you kind of
basically play all the 4 cards you put on the top of your deck.
Exactly. You build a chain of them where you just start going down through and just all the while gaining lore. And it's so unbelievably easy to win. Like if you quest to 15 or something with this deck, it becomes near impossible to lose a lot of the time, which has just been a ton of fun. And like I say, in a format where Bell is singing Storm on turn 2, you would look at something like this on paper and think, how does that deck ever win? Actually, with the fabric of the format, it's it's way easier to make Diablos survive, and that absence or sort of major tick down in brawls and sisus around has meant that I haven't needed to feel like you got to jam a load of coves or anything in here. It's kind of, you know what, if they draw the removal spell exactly when they need it and they kill the Diablo, cool. I've got other things behind to stay to present other threats, right? You kill the Diablo, the Ursula lives. Is basically the trade off. But yeah, it's just been super, super fun. Like I've actually had fun, real fun, not fake fun, like actual fun. And you just can go wild gaining lore.
Yeah, I think I can
It's a
totally see that.
it's an aggro deck in kind of the truest sense of the word, but it's all, you know, hard to interact with through evasives, hard to interact with through so much of the lore game coming from hand. You stay restocked on cards so well.
Go
Often they
really
just
still
have
annoying.
Go
Yeah.
is still really, really annoying,
Uh,
and like
Against steel decks,
when
it
you go,
was always better
yeah,
than yeah, because there's a
yeah,
lot of they don't want to quest with the high realms and stuff, and yeah.
exactly. Yeah, they
Um,
still leave high rooms exerted, and they get foxed, and then go for 4.
One thing
Yeah,
I'm wanted to ask you, because in your newest version you cut the Ursula, I think, in the Ursula Deceiver of all, or did you come back to her?
that's come back. Yeah,
Okay,
so
yeah,
yeah, so the sort of the most recent version, the V3, has Ursula again.
mm-hmm,
But the only difference versus the original version is that I'm not playing snakes. They were kind of too slow. They weren't really
mm-hmm,
doing what I wanted them to do, and I'm playing Honey Marin instead, which
mm-hmm.
is inked quite often. It's not really something you want to do on turn 2, but it's keeps that density of good top decks high. Yeah, so many cards in this deck late game are good top decks because they just progress you that step further to
Yeah.
um to winning, and it's something that's only permitted to exist by a downtick in red blue. Um, it's like
You
it
mean
would
this
get
deck in
so
total,
blown.
or what?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It would get so blown out by Pirates, Life Shark sort of things. If you
mm,
haven't closed the game by then, that would just end the game on the spot for you. Um, and it's kind of like it exists in this beautiful window where red blue was sort of suppressed a bit and amber steel hadn't got good yet. So I'm really scared about it moving forward. But for the past couple of weeks, this has been insanely fun and won a ton of games. I know a few other players, like in the 20 Law thread and stuff, have had some fun with it, which I'm really happy about. And people on Twitter saying that they've enjoyed playing it as like a real different approach to the metagame. But yeah, I could talk about it for ages because it's just been a ton of fun. I suspect that there will be a set 7 version of the discard deck, probably from the people that have pioneered it, that will be really good. And it's probably going to be better than this deck. But for now,
I
this
don't.
as like an aggressive approach has been really, really fun.
I would really, I would really doubt that the discard. I think that deck makes a lot more sense for me than the discard. The discard is always a bit tricky for me in green purple because you have to make real good arguments for me to make the discard approach better in green purple than in green steel.
Yeah.
And then that was always the problem for green purple discard for me. So I still don't see the upside of playing green purple discard in favor
Sure.
of
Yep.
green steel discard. But maybe I don't see it. But in green steel, still everything with the discard strategy, everything fits in so well together with this Ursula stuff, and also the other songs you can sing with her. The steel songs are so busted with Ursula, and so I still see the discard strategy in green steel probably stronger, but this will prey on some decks that really don't respect it. You prove so often that you are a crazy good deck builder.
No,
Nice.
thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Often it feels like, I don't know, like Dr. Frankenstein or something cooking in a lab, and it's like, what did you
Oh,
make? Oh, I made something hideous. I made a hideous monster, but it's powerful. And you're
really,
like, ah,
I
cool.
think you underestimate yourself very much. I think people have very much respect for your deck building. That's I really don't doubt that.
No, thank you. That's very kind. But yeah, has like I say, it's been a ton of fun. Maybe calling it fun and saying fun over and over again kind of understates the volume of games that I won. It's loads. It's
I think I
lots and
could
lots of games.
totally see that.
So it's not. I don't feel like I broke the format or anything. Not even close to it. But there's a viable deck here that
Yeah.
yeah. If you're interested in it, we're actively working on it. So yeah, more to come.
And I want to spoil something because I'm
Mm-hmm.
working right now on another green purple list that is closer to our, yeah, I would say a little bit closer to our last set thing, but not too
Okay.
close. So I really think it has legs, but I need to test it more, and or I need to I
Nice.
need to test it. And yeah, there are some, yeah, like we said, there are some ways to attack the meta with strategies. But I still don't see the pure power level in comparison to some other decks running around. But
Yeah, sure.
it's of course something fun and worth exploring. Yeah. So
Yeah,
maybe next
definitely.
week I will speak more about that. So
Cool.
please,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
please come in next week. You know.
Please come back.
Yeah. So friends, we are talking now about our LCCC list adaptations. Some people were surprised. I want to talk about my list first, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
And about my matchup. I made some adjustments. Some people were surprised, but I am not. What I did is actually cut the Calhoots, cut the hooks, cut the Cogsworths, cut. Yeah, I think that's it mainly. And I put in Mickey Mouse. The one drop because it survives Storm. I was thinking about, you can't play one drop that dies to Storm right now. It's just not possible. You rather Ink Pass probably, and that feels bad. And Mickey Mouse is something I can always play on turn one. Also, the only matchup I'm really afraid of, or I was really afraid of, was Kurt, because I think against Kurt or against Greensteel, I have a really, really bad matchup. And I wanted, or at least, yeah, nearly every blue steel build has a bad matchup into Greensteel. And especially if some like pilots like Kurt plays it. And the broom was extremely good. Really, really, really good. Like, what can they do? I mean, it doesn't even matter if you play on the draw. You play that they can't quest with their Diablo anymore. They have not easy ways to kill it. So there's not much they can do. It survives the storm, and they need a 3 character strength. What's not that easy. You have also Pete's and stuff, and at least the broom is the by far best 2-drop into this deck than any other character. And I felt like the Calhoun was doing nothing anymore, and each other Inkable is probably better 2-drop, and we have not that many good 2-drop alternatives. Also, the Anna was the other thing, but in my version, other than yours, I have not that many heroes, so I was a bit afraid that she doesn't quest for 2 that often. So that was the only other option for me. So I decided to go for the brooms. And the Mickey Mouse shift, some people were laughing at me. Trust me, it's good. Trust me, it's good. There were a lot of games I won with that. And it's a threat for if you play. It's a one-off, It's a one-off. So the cost of playing a one-off shift Mickey Mouse in your deck is nearly zero. It's nearly zero, yeah. And trust me, if you are my opponent and I have a Mickey Mouse on the board, a one-drop Mickey Mouse, you rather want to play against me if I have not the shift in my deck than I have the shift in my deck, because you don't want to quest with your bell anymore. You don't want to. It's just annoying, and also you can shift and instantly sing Zeus, what's very crazy good against Scrooge, for example. The tempo gain by that is amazing, and probably after that you can next turn slam a mana, and it's hard from your opponent to recover. Mickey Mouse is very, very hard to kill for steel decks. Very, very hard. Even Scrooge doesn't kill it. Yeah, deal with it sometime. Mickey Mouse into Smee, into Mickey Mouse Shift, deal with it. Just make it, and then you can tell me I'm stupid, you know? And what I'm surprised in general about the LCCC is, that's one thing I really don't get. We play open deck lists, and the people, I don't understand why all other players don't appreciate the option. I think one or two offs are very, very strong in open deck lists. Like I would rather play Chenpo and I mean the person who disagree with me the most is probably Ed. If Ed would be here, he would tell me how stupid I am. But if I play one of Chenpo and the one of Coxsworth, for example, it's so hard for your opponent to know what you're doing, and I think that's a very good thing in open deck lists. And I don't know why most players don't play any one-offs or two-offs, and I think they are very strong in open deck lists. And that's just some general thing. And the unfortunate thing is we have seven steel decks in the first round winners bracket, and I play against the only non-steel deck, and my deck is completely tagged into steel. I mean the Mickey Mouse, the Mickey Mouse broom
looks less good.
Yeah, the
blue
broom, everything I tagged high into steel. Now I face Federico. Federico's list is I just tell you my general thought. I played this matchup very, very much. In general, I think we are favored. The way I adapted my deck and the way his deck is built make it very, very even. And I think his list is very, very, very good into us. I think it's a very good list in general, but it's a very good into us because he doesn't play any high end like Big Tamatoa, Dime nonsense. That's all nothing against us. And he just plays a lot of Sisus, a lot of coils, and a lot of Pirates' Lives. And that can be very annoying. Also, what I really like, he uses that. He plays 2 of manas. And that's... it's very tricky as an opponent if you know your opponent plays a mana. Then you play it totally different. And that's just some general thing I think about open deck lists. Why you don't play 1 or 2 of mana? And he does that. Because your opponent has to respect that all the time that you have manas in your deck. And I think that's very powerful. And I really like his list. And I really think he's very good into us. He's good tagged into us, or against me at least. And yeah, I think it will be a very close game. Unfortunately, it will probably also depend a lot on who's on the play. And yeah, I still feel confident. It can go both ways. Unfortunately, I think against his list, I would play a lot of things different than this because I tagged into steel. But I think that's just the thing. Doesn't make too much difference. But at least, for example, Calhoun is better than the broom because it has 3 strength and doesn't die to Sisu without coil, and just has some slight differences. Also, the Captain Hook is way better than Mickey Mouse because it prevents the Smee from taking damage. Just some slight things that are worse against him than into steel. And his list is very, very good into us. So I think it will be a close game, and I'm excited still. I like him very much. He's a very kind player too. So
yeah, he's a nice guy.
Really cool. Yeah, very nice guy. Yeah, that's that. And
Cool.
yours? You made a really different list this time.
Yeah, I made some bigger changes. So I spent the week before this mostly playing green purple, the green purple deck I just talked about. And really being excited for it, and then came back to Blue Steel, and was kind of like, oh, right, I've got to play Blue Steel. And then so my first thought was like, okay, if I've just been trying to get myself into like a more proactive mindset, and I actually am not feeling like getting locked into some never-ending mid-range battle, um, then I probably want to go with like a curve out type version. And this version that I've gone for this week plays much, it's pretty much your what people call Kiwi Bird style
Mm-hmm.
curve out Blue Steel, with a bunch of docks, and you curve Alice into Pluto, and you sort of hope that that makes you too hard to interact with as you quest a bunch and close the game out with some manners and that sort of thing. So yeah, I just stuck in a load of cards that I like, like Baymax. Like, I'm clamoring around in the colors blue and steel, looking for like any kind of reach that might help me break. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I suspect that my opponent is, I'm pretty. Oh, my light just fell over.
Oh.
um, if my opponent is playing like um, a mid-range blue steel, which is the probably the most likely thing I'm going to play into, then how do I close the game out once they likely retake control of the board on turn 6 or 7, that sort of thing, and stop me from playing, stop me from winning the game. So yeah, a few interesting cards in there. I did follow you on the one of Mickey Mouse. That's shamelessly copied from the list you shared with me, because where Ed might be the person to tell you absolutely do not play these one-ofs, it's strict four-ofs. I am like the absolute opposite, and if you show me like a one-off copy of the worst card ever printed, I'm like, stop selling. I'm already buying. It's like I've already registered my deck with it in. You don't have to say anything else. It's like irresistible to me. Like the option to just threaten the shift on the small Mickeys, like, it's a done deal. I'll gladly have one of them in there. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's even worse for me. I don't play brooms. It's just strictly threatening a shift to quest for 2 on this resist one body that can take some profitable trades, and it's hard for, like you say, it doesn't get killed by a Scrooge. It's pretty important. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I'm trying to go in a more aggressive direction. But still, not going. It's not like flat out aggro. I'm not playing Lawrence. Um, I think I'm pretty well positioned against Moyen.
Yeah,
It should be
pretty even.
pretty even. I'm kind of dreading the dice roll more than anything else,
Yeah.
because like I know how good these Kiwi builds are on the play versus on the draw, and I think, knowing myself and how I think, it will be a struggle to remain positive if I lose the dice roll. And also, if I win the dice roll, it will be a struggle to not get overexcited and be like, "It's over, lights out, buddy! I just won!" Like, you don't
Do
even
you know
bother
the
playing.
solution?
Yeah, just
Don't
don't
think
look.
anything. Just
Yeah,
just think about the game, and everything else is you don't care.
yeah. Well, I'll
When
try that. I'll take that approach and
yeah,
just,
I really
yeah.
like
But
the
I'm not.
Baymax. I really like. I was close to
Yeah,
also play one, but then I thought, okay, I really maybe I even play against Federico then, and then I really cut everything that's good against Federico and put everything
yeah.
in that's so in the heavy steel meta, the Baymax is a lot of reach. Would you do you want to grab your light?
Yeah, I'm gonna grab it one sec.
Yeah.
Talk about Baymax.
Talk about Baymax. Yeah, no, I really like the Baymax, and I think yeah, it's very close probably, and I'm really excited. When do you play? Do you know that already?
Yeah, I play tomorrow, which is Friday.
Uh huh.
So we're recording on Thursday right now. We play Friday at 8 p.m. Central European.
Nice. So I play on Monday, 6 p.m. and yeah, and then we meet in the semifinals. I think no. My guess
We'll
is one of
see.
us will make it, one of us will not. That's my guess right now.
You know, You know the difference between me and you is that if we got paired into each other in the semi-final, the 4 days, the 4 days or so running up to the game, you would relentlessly play test, and I would have a notebook and just be like coming up with creative trash talk and just like, what's like the worst thing I could say to him during this game? Let's see what we can do on stream, and just be writing material. And then you'd win, but then morally, who would
I
win?
would not win. Don't say that.
Well, you would hope that after all the practice, you might stand a good chance.
We all try our best.
We do, and
Yes.
I would actually really enjoy if we had to play in the tournament. It would be a
Absolutely.
lot of fun. There would be
Absolutely.
no nerves. It
No
would just be
pressure.
like
No pressure.
good
No.
feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that would be nice. But yeah, we got to get through another round, and then we would have to get paired together for that to
Yeah.
happen. But
Or we
we
lose
go in, we
both.
try our
If one
best.
of us lose, if you lose, then I lose too. Okay.
Oh, okay, you're gonna throw, sure.
And if
Okay,
you
so if
win,
you
then
win
I
this
win.
one and then lose the next one, I'll know exactly why it happened. It wasn't because you got beaten fair and square.
Yeah.
It's because
Yeah.
you threw the game.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yes. Yeah. The interesting thing, maybe we speak about that next week because I think we are. I really think that maybe we get at some point from Carsten or someone in here, because I really would like to have an insight from a high maths guy about these one-off versus two-liner topic, because I'm very confident that two-liners are not the way to go. With two-liners, for the people who know what two-liners are, two-liners are just when you dream born, you share your deck list. If that's only on 2 lines, then you play only 4-offs.
Yep.
So that we call two-liners. So if you play a more variety of cards, you go to 3 lines, and then you have more. And also, like people like Van Carsten, if they post a deck list, and that verifies what I say, that he plays a lot of one-offs, a lot of one-offs. He plays also even some weird cards like Piglet or Pete. He plays sometimes as a one-off. So I'm right. Okay, thank you.
So you're right. Okay. No need to have any guests. We'll just leave it there. Just nice, done deal.
No,
That was
I
a
think
good one-man conversation.
no, I think that the it's of course I'm not stupid or something. I know that if you play I wanted to say if you play only 3 Hyrims, that's consistency issue, but you play 3 Hyrims.
Yeah, I'm playing 3 Hyrims. Yeah.
In Red Blue, for example, if you play 3 Hyrims, that costs consistency, but it doesn't cost consistency if you play 2 Medusa and 2 Tremaine instead of 4 Medusa. That's no
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
consistency comparison. But of course, 4-offs are if you only want to have a linear game plan that always does the same, then of course you play only 4-offs. But I think that's not always the best approach. But that we could talk about it 2 hours. I think we are fine today. We had a good. That was a good episode. Do you have anything
your voice held up, which is good.
Yeah. Do you have anything
you didn't get too ill?
No, it's fine. Do you have anything to add?
I don't think so. No. Just if anyone is listening and they haven't been watching the LCCC games live, yeah, try to get yourself on Twitch. When they're up, it's really good fun. Come join in. People are
it's not always it's not only good fun. It's also I don't want to speak too much about ourselves, but also the other. It's very, very. If you want to get better, watch these games. That's very, very high skill Lorcana games with. I think if you want to play a deck like someone of the LCC players plays, and you watch him, you will learn a lot. Federico Sailor, for example, they are masters of Red Blue. DKP for his version, or I don't want to say every name now because I don't want to maybe I miss someone, but there's really high value content I think to watch. Yeah. So
Nice.
don't miss that. Okay. Thanks everyone for watching. And we see us next week. Hopefully a bit earlier. I'm really confident to say that. And yeah, thanks again for watching and supporting us. Until next week. And bye-bye.
Bye bye.